The Grove Podcast.
Hello, my name is Tabs and welcome to episode 160 of the Grove Podcast. Now, thank you for listening and I hope you're all doing really well and enjoying an Arsenal-free midweek. Still soaking up the post-North London derby vibes and content before all the angst and fears return this weekend when it's back to the Premier League and the end of season run begins. And joining me today on the pod is Jamie. How have you enjoyed your Arsenal-free week?
It's been quite delightful, to be honest. I've had Arsenal 3 weeks for weeks, to be honest. I've just been sort of ignoring most things that go on outside of the actual games themselves. So I'm having nice little Arsenal free spells for 3 and 4 days at a time. This time, though, I have actually bothered to, listen to the podcast, watch the clips, sort of, engage a little bit with stuff because it's all a bit bright and sunny and lovely right now, isn't it?
For now it is, yes, indeed. And Ian, aka Ask and Picks, is also with us. Are you ready for the new levels of stress and angst as we enter the final throes of the season?
Yeah, I've stocked up on as much alcohol as I can fit into the kitchen presses. We've had to throw away some cups and saucers and stuff, but it's going to be a hell of a few months.
And you're in healthcare, so have you managed to get your hands on some Valium as well?
Yeah, I'll find a few bits. Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a ride, as they say. And look, and in today's pod, we are going to be taking a look at that run-in, trying to sort of predict what might happen in our last 10 Premier League games. Also, how the other competitions might go, how they will influence the end of the season, and also how City will fare as well. And then we'll narrow our focus and look ahead to our home game against Chelsea, which takes place 4:30 UK time on Sunday late afternoon. But before we get onto that, as always, quick favour. If you can give us a little like, subscribe, comment, 5-star rating on the podcast apps, on our YouTube channel at The Grove FC, it would be greatly appreciated, and we do notice. And then we're 6 away from a landmark number of subscribers on Spotify. So just need 6 of you just to subscribe. Don't care if you listen, just subscribe. That'll be great. Really helps spread the word. Right, thank you for that. Thank you for indulging me on that. And so, the run-in. We're in 4 competitions, and if we go as far as we want to in all those competitions, that's potentially 23 more games. So not only is there the Premier League, you've got 13 other potential games to take place. And even if we just made the semi-finals, so we say, of the FA Cup and Champions League, 21 games. We've actually played more games already this season than Man United can actually play. I think our maximum of 40 games, and we've already played more than that. So it just goes to show that being successful is really good, but also it means you have to play a hell of a lot of games. And so let's see. So in terms of how this is going to pan out, we are 83% favourites according to the supercomputer. Unfortunately, football's played on grass, not in computers. And Alistair was asking, basically, do we agree with that? Are we in agreement that we are 80% favourites to win the league? Because for me, it seems quite high, because Man City are 16%, given that it's only a 2-point advantage and a game in hand, 5-point advantage and game in hand.
Yeah.
So, Ian, are you 80% certain? I mean, looking at what you've predicted, I think you are.
You've just caught me in not in a lie here, because I kind of scoffed at the 83%, but as we're going to find out, I've predicted that we're going to win the league at a landslide. But right now it doesn't feel like there's an 83% chance, because you just said it's only 5 points and City have a game in hand. But I think there's going to be some twists and turns. I think City have been on a really good run that I don't think they're going to be fully capable of keeping going. And I'm hoping that our little turn around the corner with the win against Spurs might send us on a little bit of a run. So that's where my head is at. But right now, as we sit here, it doesn't feel like we're 83% favourites.
Jamie?
83% is an interesting number. No, I'd agree. It feels a lot less than that. I think if I were to quantify, then it feels something more like 55, 60. I find it a much more marginal degree of error.
Yeah, 60-40, 55, 45. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't know if they take into account other competition or if it's just the Premier League alone, and that's the thing. So we sort of conducted an exercise where we looked at all our remaining fixtures, all City's fixtures, plus I threw in the various other competitions, sort of in there, and. Look, we've all got us winning the league. So, I've got us on 85 points. Ian's got us on 89. Jesus Christ! I don't think we've reached eight. I think we've only got to 89 points like once in our lifetime. So it's like,
well, we're going to get to it twice this season, right?
We're going to get it twice. And Jamie's sort of in between, on 87, and I've got City on 81. Ian's on 80, and good. And Jamie's on 85. So Jamie's certainly got squeaky bum time going on.
I'd like to add a caveat to that, though. That I think the other thing, the interesting bit, I found it quite a almost a cathartic experience, actually, putting those down and sort of seeing what my feelings were over it. Partly because actually I went through hours and I was like, oh shit, actually, there's some real, there's some games here where I'm like, I want to put 2.5 or 2.2 or something like that. Something that says whatever the average would be in the it's effectively 7 points over out of 9 in some of those games, if that makes sense. I can group three of them together.
Yeah, you average it. If you average it out, unfortunately, you can't get. I was
debating
points.
Being an arse and fractionalising 7 into between 3 and seeing how you felt about that. But it was quite cathartic because looking through it was intimidating doing hours first, and then I did cities, and I went, "Oh right, no, they're the same." When I look at those matchups, it felt exactly the same. It felt like, oh yeah, no, actually, a lot of them are the same teams. Weirdly, we do have a lot of I think there's only a couple of fixtures difference really, and locations of some of the games, but it certainly it was quite interesting going through it that way. And the caveat is, I kind of feel like the margin was the bit that I took out of it, where I went, okay, so that's 2 points. I actually think neither of us will probably hit 87 and 85 that I had recorded, but I think that margin of 2 points feels about right.
I was about there, and the thing is, I think going through this in isolation, each game, you could actually go, look, we should win those games, apart from the City one.
Well, yeah, Ian has.
Ian has. Actually, I've just looked. Yeah, I've just realised you've got us winning. Oh no, he's got us drawing away to Brighton. There we go. So
I'll explain everything. Don't worry.
We will get there. But in isolation, you look at these games. If you just look at the games on their own as an entity, you're going, well, we should win that one. Oh well, we should win that, and the same for City. And to be honest, if that happened, I'd be more than happy because we win the league. Even if we lost to City, I think we still win the league. So it's a tough bit, but again, these games aren't in isolation. There's other games around them and stuff. So we kick off with Chelsea at the weekend. Ian and I got a win there, but Jamie's less confident. He's gone for a draw. No, interestingly, not a single defeat in any of these. So neither for City, neither for Arsenal. Now, actually, do you think that's realistic?
No, I don't. I think that's the key thing. I think both teams will drop. I think both teams will drop 3 somewhere.
Excuse me, I do have City down for a loss.
Oh yes, you do. Yes, of course. Yeah, because they're losing to us.
Oh, you're so optimistic as well, aren't you? What have you got them losing to?
Us.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and that's why the big margin, because of the 9-point margin.
Whereas I think in mine actually, if we lose to City in mine and your versions tabs. Because we both got a draw and we've both got a 2. No, you've got a 4-point margin, haven't you?
Yeah, I've got a 4-point margin.
I've only got a 2 point.
Yeah, so we need to.
Got it that if we lose to City, then we come second by a point. Yeah.
Interesting. We'll get onto the Chelsea game, but you predicted a draw, and look, City play Leeds. I've got City winning, but you think Leeds might do one? I mean, they've had some good results, against United, against Chelsea. They got spanked by us. So there's potentially a draw there, and then I've got us dropping points to Brighton, the same as Ian. Jamie's more confident. That sort of balances out the Chelsea results. City going to beat Forest, and then we hit a couple of cup games. So luckily for us, we've got Mansfield, so that in the 5th round of the FA Cup, that's fine. That's a rotated team that should have nominal impact. And then we start getting into the Champions League games, and this is where we start now going. Actually, from next week, it's literally going to be weekend, midweek, right up to the internationals, and then some players are going to be playing in the internationals. So actually, the first time it could actually work out if we do well in the competitions that we're going to be playing from now until May 30th. Players will be playing weekend, midweek for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think this is where the squad really comes in, isn't it? And I think you've got to see plenty of rotation. It's got to be 3 in, 3 out on a regular basis for a lot of these games, I think, because at this point, you look at those dates and they are absolutely savage.
It's rammed, and I mean we could get lucky with some draws. I say we got lucky with Mansfield, so no. But with that, with who we're playing, so we actually, and I looked at this. Actually, we got 6 at home, 4 away, but we only go past the Watford gap once, and that's to go and play City, and the other one is down to the beach to play Brighton. The rest of them are in London. So in terms of travel, I know it's local, but in terms of just that side of travelling stuff, even just little small margins that help. But with that, because we have 4 London derbies, we've got West Ham away, Palace away, Chelsea at home, and Fulham at home. Do you think we're at a disadvantage because of that? And actually, throughout the whole season, you think that you've got to double that, and I don't know if then you add Tottenham, so that's 10 London derbies, Brentford 12. Okay, how much they're different
derbies, though. I mean,
no, they're variation. This is the thing, but do you think it's a disadvantage you compared to like City? Just have Man United and Liverpool, and that's it. Just that upped intensity.
Well, they've got us as well, haven't they? But yeah, I get. I'd probably argue Tottenham and Chelsea for them weirdly as well. They've sort of been developing those new Premiership rivalries a little bit, haven't they? Which Newcastle were kind of similar for as well. When Sunderland weren't about for most of the Premier League's history, they've had those rivalries with Liverpool, and they had the rivalry with United, and they had the stuff that maybe upped the intensity for them at St James's, and obviously they had a huge rivalry with us. I think it's one of the reasons why, and the same's happening with Villa these days because there's no Midlands clubs about. Villa fucking hate us because they need people to hate, right?
Yeah.
So those things, I think most teams amp up a few games regardless, and I don't feel very amped up for most of the London games, to be honest. Chelsea, because I fucking hate them.
Yeah,
they're despicable. They're horrible. They're the genuinely most of the things we only project onto Tottenham. We actually truly feel about Chelsea, and then obviously there's Tottenham, and that's it really. But Palace, West Ham.
West Ham, maybe.
I mean, they can be a bit niggly, a bit annoying, but it's not really a derby, is it? You're not really worried about them.
I'd rather play Palace or Fulham than Bournemouth or Brighton.
I agree, yeah.
I agree with Jamie in that. Yes, they're derbies in terms of geography and location, but I don't think they should be over-indexed as that they're going to really impact us, or like that can be a disadvantage to us. I just we're being respectful to them. Obviously, I just think any Premier League team can put it up to any other Premier League team within reason, and especially this season. So I see Fulham and West Ham as no different to anybody outside of London who would be in a similar position in the league than they are. I don't think it's a disadvantage.
Yeah, like Brighton don't like us either for some reason. I mean, not many teams do like us. So whatever. Yeah, and that's always a bit of an annoying one away. Okay, then fair enough. No, it was just an interesting point because it's something we have to continue. I think it helps us because, as I said, just being able to stay at home, just being able to travel locally, just even those small things that I think actually playing plenty of games in London maybe could actually favour us or balances out the sort of local rivalry aspect of it. So, and
people keep it balanced. There's less. We're going to have to play in Europe a bunch, right? And that's the big thing. So we're still going to be doing that travel. So if you're playing in Europe and then you're traveling across the country, that is tough. And that's potentially what City have got a little bit right. They've got 4 or 5 games down here, and then they've got, they've got a couple in Lancashire. In fairness, that aren't far for them, but I think the majority, at least half their games are down this kind of way.
Yeah, I mean, and actually, when you talked about Europe and the travel, for once, things have worked out in favour. So after every Champions League game that we could potentially play, so round of 16, the two in the semi, we are at home. So either the away leg or the home leg, we are at home after every Champions League game. Whereas in the past, you have to play away and then you have to go away at the weekend. It just adds an extra, you maybe miss a day of training as a result of the two sets of travel. So I think we've sort of lucked out a bit with that, as well as having the second legs at home all the time. So we've done all right with that. So and the first sort of Champions League thing we have to contend with, either roughly around March the 11th and March the 17th, could be either Atalanta or Bayer Leverkusen. I mean, before that we have Mansfield, so fine. In between we'd have Everton, and then afterwards we have the EFL Cup. But that's not too bad. Do you have any preference over Atalanta or Bayer Leverkusen, Ian?
I would probably. I always look at the Atalanta away game as being a very tough game. For that alone, I think they're kind of similar in terms of quality, but I'd fancy our chances better. I'd fancy our chances away at Atlanta anyway, but I think Leverkusen would be a little bit potentially easier on paper than Atalanta. So yeah, I'd prefer to get Leverkusen.
Okay. Jamie, do you have any preference or much for muchness?
It's a little bit of much of muchness, isn't it? They're both doing reasonably shit in the league this season.
Yeah.
Leverkusen have lost the boss. They've lost the key players from
2 seasons.
Granit Xhaka. That's the key thing. If Granit Xhaka was still there, I would fear them more, but also I'd probably welcome the tie just to see him back at the Emirates with them. But no, honestly, I don't think I've got much of a maybe Atalanta because maybe 7th in Italy is ostensibly worse than 6th in Germany, but let's face it, these things aren't really relative, are they? They have lost Ademola Lookman as well, haven't they, during January?
Yeah, he's gone to Atletico Madrid.
Still said we should have signed him, but he, that's another decent player they've lost. So the two of them are both. It feels friendly, doesn't it? It feels like you're almost playing a little bit of the perennial Tottenhams of weaker leagues. So that would do quite nicely.
No, indeed, and look in between.
And it's less intense. To your point before as well. Sorry, that's the key thing. If you can pick up a wounded animal with a big club. Like to be completely frank, I'd back us to absolutely batter a Juventus at this point. We saw we were much better than Inter Milan, right? But they're quite high intensity games, right? Like they're in the big stadiums. There's the history. There's all that. People get up for it. There's the floodlights. Whatever. When you play in Atalanta or Leverkusen, someone who doesn't have the same European pedigree, it doesn't feel as intense. And I think that's probably a part of it as well, is that if it feels a bit more like it's not a run-of-the-mill match, these are very good teams, but if it feels a bit more BAU than necessarily being this overly emotional, the kind of thing that we had with Real and PSG and that we'll get later in the rounds if we're there, then I think that maybe just helps a little bit in terms of it's that mental fatigue as much as the physical, right?
Yeah. So in between all that, City play West Ham. I don't know who they potentially get in the Champions League, and I've got them drawing against West Ham. Don't know, West Ham fighting relegation. They seem to be hitting a bit of form. You never know. And this is the thing. I think we know we're not going to win every game. And we know City aren't going to win every game. Well, they might do. So I'm trying to find places where potentially you might get a draw, and that might be one, because depending on their European draw, who they play, they could go to West Ham. West Ham are going to be playing, just once a week. I'm guessing. So that could be a potential place, and they're battling Tottenham for relegation. So they'll need the points.
Never fear, Tabs. I've just stuck 3 West Ham players in my fantasy team with my wild cards.
There we go. We're winning the lot. Okay,
we're going down.
There we go. So then it's the.
Sorry, Tabs. Just to quickly say, Man City, I think, have either Bodo Glimt or Real Madrid in the Champions League, so they could be going to the Nordic Circle
and playing on the AstroTurf, or playing. Did it Real Madrid? That would be. Yeah. I think I'd rather do Real Madrid. I think Bodo Glimt, as much as they've had a good run of things, their time will run out. Whereas Real Madrid,
in a weird way, I think I'd rather Bodo Glimt.
Really,
which is not going to happen. I don't think.
Well, they've already played once this season, and Man City lost them 3-1.
Yeah, maybe, 2-1. But I can't see how many again. But I just mean more. So the Real would be kind of fun if you knew they were guaranteed to go through. Then I'd take Real, but Real got more of a chance of knocking them out.
Yeah, and I'd rather play Real Madrid than Man
I want
City.
City to play as many games as we do.
Okay. Well,
I honestly would like to play City in the Champions League final to a certain extent. I think like you want them at least to go to the semis. You want them to go right the way through and be matching us game for game in the demand on the squad, because I think our squad's better than theirs. So if they have to meet the same demand, then I think that is and they haven't, and so far they have been League Cup, they have been FA Cup, they have been Champions League. Funnily enough, actually more, but I would rather that. I don't know what your thoughts are on that and whether that makes any difference.
Well, maybe then play Real Madrid.
That's the logic that's in my brain going, I want these bastards to keep playing games whilst we are. I don't want them getting a long, Saturday to Saturday rest.
But then play Real Madrid, beat them, but it goes to extra time and all the rest of it, and it's going to be a much more intense game, but they still get through against, and then they knock out Real Madrid. But we'll see, and actually we'll get to this, but we might end up playing them in the quarterfinals anyway. So there's that. And then I think there's various markers in the running, and then the first one is the EFL Cup final on Sunday, 22nd of March, and how. Gianluca, the boy asks, if we lose the Carabao Cup, does it make us more or less confident about winning the league? My question is, will it make how much of a difference will it make winning or losing in?
I don't think. I think it'll make a smidge of a difference. Like, I think the players will be. On both sides will be professional enough to know that whatever happens on that day, there'll be a lot of emotion around that game. There'll be a lot of emotion, that night and so on. But both sets of players, I think, and the management will click back into gear. Yes, maybe a little bit of a psychological advantage, but like at the end of the day, it's the EFL Cup. Like Man City are probably sick of winning it. If we beat them. Will they lose a huge amount of sleep over it? I don't think so. If we lose it, it will probably have for me a little bit more of an effect on us if we lost it than it would them if they lost it. But I wouldn't be worried. I wouldn't be worried about it. A lot of people are saying, "Oh my God, this is like going to decide the title." I don't think anything like that will happen.
Well, there's two aspects to it. We haven't won a trophy in ages, so you want to win that trophy. So if you don't win it, you're not winning that trophy, and you still have to get over that hump. So that's still hanging over, even if it's just the EFL Cup. That's still hanging over us. Then is the impact on right now we've got one over on City. Okay, fine, we've beaten them in the league in the past, and we had the nice 5-1 and all the rest of it. But this would be a statement win over City. So again, it's sort of two things that we're having to battle here is the cup and the City aspect. So I don't know, Jamie, do you think it will? Yeah, it's gonna. Do you think it will influence? It will win or lose? Do you think it would influence how the rest of the league season would go?
It's interesting, isn't it? I somehow it's not an exact comparison, but it makes me think 98-99 and. The FA Cup against United, just because of the time of year, right? That was what the FA Cup quarter final, wasn't it? Was it semi? I can't remember which one.
I think it might have been. It was the semi because it was up in Villa Park.
It might be the semi.
Oh, is that? Oh, the Bergkamp miss and the Ryan Giggs goal.
A little bit later, but
I was there. Jeez.
A lot of United players seem to think that game gave them the boost that they might not have won either the league or the European Cup that season had it not been for that, and particularly the European Cup. There was that gave them that steal, and that it was specifically beating Arsenal in a knockout on the way to the FA Cup that really just made them go, right, this is it. Everything's ours. We're doing the whole lot, and gave them that treble season. Now, there's a little bit of revisionism always in these things, isn't there? You'll look back and say that, was it necessarily the thing? I don't know, but certainly they felt it at the time. Is the way that they view it. The other aspect is, if we lose that game, you might go, do you know what? The boys get so fucking fired up, they just play in anger, and you won't like us when we're angry, sort of style as well. So honestly, like there are stories throughout sports framed in different ways by different people about how either the hurt and upset of something drove them to greater success, or how the momentum that they got from something drove them to greater success.
Yeah, the narrative will be
in the fucking middle where shit just happened. So
Yeah.
I don't really know for sure. I think it definitely could have a big impact because these things could, but I think calling it one way or the other, it's a bit like Ian says, it's kind of marginal. It could be the world of difference, but it's so hard to be able to say.
It will be outcome based narrative. So basically, people will find the story that they want to find, depending on what happens at the end. So it's not going to. Yeah. So if we win it and we lost, they say it drove them to win it, and if we win it and we won, it said, well, then it got them over the hump. So it's, yeah.
And I mentioned on a previous pod. Now, to be fair, I'd heard this on a different pod altogether, that Raheem Sterling was talking to Declan Rice, or Declan Rice was talking to Raheem Sterling, our player of the season last season, of course, and he
Raheem or Declan?
Raheem, of course. I mean,
okay, Raheem the Dream. Yeah.
And he said that it went because he won it 4 times, I think, with City, and he said that it did give them a huge boost for the rest of the season, to go on, and like it was like literally like an adrenaline shot for them. So obviously it does have an impact, and you'd much prefer to win it than lose it. But I don't think it will be the deciding factor as to who wins the league.
That makes sense. The mention of adrenaline as well, it kind of always feels like it would be somewhat hormonal, right? You just get these huge, dopamine and adrenaline and everything surging through you from the win, as opposed to the huge depressive feel, right? And that just carrying that through and the effect that has on your body over days and whatever, I can understand it.
Where it could have an impact is it will more than likely impact the league game between Arsenal and Man City. Like if we go and beat Man City in the final, like comfortably, that then all of a sudden the narrative changes around that league game up at City, and but going by your 2 predictions, that game at City is going to be pivotal. In the league title race. So therefore what I'm saying is it would have a big impact on who wins the league. In my world, we have it won nearly by the time we played City.
Because City can have the 3 points. That's fine. We're winning it easy.
But so there is that angle. I think it might have an impact on the league game against City, but not necessarily the outcome of the league itself.
Yeah, and so look, we'll see, and it may actually influence what we do in the FA Cup as well, because if we win the League Cup, then maybe the FA Cup becomes less important. I'll touch on that in a minute. So again, I think it'll be outcome based narrative, but I win it, I think will have the most positive and best impact, and I think that's safest to say. If you win it, I think that's just best all round, and I don't think that many people can argue with that. We had a bit of a silly question from Dubs for Sam, your mate Ian.
My mate Mick. That's Mick.
Mick, there you go. He goes, in Mighty Ducks 3, I didn't even know there was a 2 and a 2 and a 3. They go to college and the new coach tells the Ducks don't play the varsity team before the end of season game. They secretly do, and they show their hand and tricks, getting their ass kicked and lose confidence. I feel like this for the cup final versus the EPL showdown match, and that's fine, and we discussed that. However, in terms of showing your hand, you got to go in and win the EFL Cup, and you just got to do that, and you can't think about the league game at all. However, do you think you approach them differently? As in, could you see there being... imagine we had the full fitness for both games. Could you see 2 different teams setting up, for the games? And I was going to ultimately say, what would you say is your EFL Cup final 11, Jamie?
Sorry, I did not take that in at all.
No, I'm just trying to say, would you imagine that when we play in the EFL Cup final, that it has in terms of an influence of what side and how they play in the league game, or just completely separate things? And would you see there being two different teams for the game because they get managed differently?
Okay, I get you now.
Yeah, do we do what the Mighty Ducks do or don't?
Famously, the Anaheim it wasn't the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, actually, was it? They came afterwards. That was Disney setting them up as an expansion team. Famously a fantastic sporting documentary. I don't know. It's really hard to say. I don't know that we have the flexibility. We've got fantastic flexibility in this squad. I don't know that we have so much flexibility that we literally change our approach and our side for 2 games against the toughest opposition in the Premier League, and one of the toughest opponents in Europe. I just don't see that being the case. Tweaks and stuff, perhaps, absolutely, but no, I can't really quite see it. Maybe the second game in particular is more of a reactive thing, right? You set yourself up, you both go in against each other, having moved your chess pieces, thinking that you might be able to outmaneuver the other. Arteta versus Pep and so on. And then in the second game, whoever it is that came off, worse in the first game, tweaks things to address that, and the other manager has to work out what they were going to tweak in order to address it, and then to go and outdo them again. That's just sort of that's the way it almost feels, and that's kind of similar to 2-legged ties, right? But I don't think you plan to do something differently necessarily. I think you're probably more just reacting to what you do in that other game. And to be frank, we don't have the time between matches at this point to change approach usually, right?
No,
we're going to do some prep for a certain game, but
yeah, it's more personnel.
I love the idea though that we'll, just like in a proper Disney movie, in the second game we'll have Win the Dog up front, and it'll turn out that he's been hiding fucking superb soccer skills for quite some time. Just dribbling along with the ball on his nose, and he's like, you can't be handball, be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, but you get sent off for taking a shit on the pitch, so.
Ian, and Dubs for Sam bloody sending this question. But anyway, Ian, what do you think? What would you? Ian, I think Jamie's answered that perfectly, and I guess the one thing is cup game, you have to win it. Whereas the league game, we want to win it, but a draw is not the worst result in the world, and that maybe changes your approach. But you can't. You can take it to penalties, but you different mindset. What would you say is your starting 11 for the EFL Cup? Given how we are now, and it's, assuming everyone's fit, what would be your starting 11 for the EFL Cup final from this point?
I think the only doubt is with the goalkeeper. I think. Does he go Raya or does he go Kepa? I think he'll go Kepa. I think he'll stay loyal to him, and Kepa's a very good goalkeeper. So I wouldn't be overly concerned if he started him. I think it'll be then Timber. It'll be again everybody fit: Timber, Saliba, Gabriel. Maybe Hincapié. Depends. If Calafiori gets in and gets a run of games and does well, it could be Calafiori. But right now, I think it'd be Hincapié. You've got your Rice, Zubimendi. I think it'll be Odegaard if he's fit. I think he'll go Saka right. I think he'll go Leo left, and he'll have the Gyok up front. I think that's
Havertz. Not Havertz.
I have a feeling. Okay. I have a feeling that we're going to have a very patchy Kai Havertz run in. We'll have him for a few games and we won't have him for other games. Havertz is one of my favourite Arsenal players, but I think he'll start Gyökeres that day. He could put Havertz in midfield. Who would come out? I don't know.
It would be Odegaard.
It would be Odegaard, but yeah. Yeah, that maybe, yeah.
Anyway, it's a hypothetical. We've got where are we now? We've got 3 weeks to injure players and see what happens in a few games. So between now and then, we've got 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, the funniest part of that question was you saying everybody's fully fit.
Yeah, exactly. It is. And then after that we have international break. Now, Jamie, do you think this is as much as we hate internationals and injury issues aside, I'm not too sure how many players are involved in games that are meaningful, as I think Calafiori, because Italy in the playoffs, but I don't know anyone else. But do you think maybe the international break, because they've said it before, is actually good as a mental break, and actually maybe less intense? They go away, do something different, go away from stuff. So maybe it's a good thing, or do you think Arteta should do all he can to Alex Ferguson the shit out of this, and not let anyone go anywhere near an airport?
I mean, as you say, there's not really meaningful games left now, right? The World Cup qualifiers are done a long time ago. I actually think, it was interesting, actually. I was watching the overlap today, the one with Roberto Martinez in. I haven't listened to that while I worked. And Martinez was talking about how the expansion of the World Cup has actually meant that for some teams, you've sort of worked out that you've qualified after about 3-4 games, and therefore, as a result, it's kind of lessened the intensity actually of some of for a longer duration prior to the international tournament, right? And made you think about playing other teams and trying other things in between. So it kind of feels like most teams will probably be in that stage anyway, right? The games in this kind of period in the run up to a tournament are probably quite soft, and then quite experimental, and then they start to harden somewhat into more of these are the lineups we want as you get to May and so on, and you get the proper warm-up games for the actual competitions, right? So I don't know, but I don't know whether I'm completely speculating there. I don't really remember what happens at this stage just before a World Cup competition.
Well,
anyway,
this international break, they've got the playoffs. They've got those games. Yeah. But I'm just saying, do you think it's like actually just a good time? Like, okay, played a few games, go away, forget about it for a couple of weeks, don't get injured, or would you rather just stay at home, protect them best as possible? Because they often say, like, a bit of a break is good as a change. You want to keep the rhythm going and stuff. Like, the likes of Saka, Rice, they love playing for England. I think England got Uruguay and someone else. Uruguay, great.
Odegaard goes away and injures Haaland in training, right?
Well, yeah, I guess it's the same for
to be completely frank. Yeah, do quite nicely, but
same for everyone. What is interesting, so we play Everton on the 14th of March. We then do not play our next Premier League game until the 11th of April.
I was literally just looking at that. Yeah, that's crazy.
That's nuts. So we got we should be in the quarterfinal because we've got Mansfield. So we should have that on April 4th, and then we should hopefully have our first quarterfinal in the Champions League, which could be against either Sporting, Bodo Glimt, City, or Real Madrid. And then we got at home against Bournemouth, then the second leg of the Champions League, and then we have the big one against Man City on April the 18th. And it could work out that we play City April 8th, April 15th, and April 18th.
And potentially on the 25th if we get them in the FA Cup.
And if we get, because they play Newcastle in the quarters, I believe, don't they? In the 5th round, don't they?
Yeah.
So that would be absolutely nuts. And so we've all said we're going to beat Bournemouth. In the meantime, City have to find some time to play Palace. They also play Chelsea away. Jamie, you've got them winning. Me and Ian have got them drawing at Chelsea. For once, we could do with Moses Caicedo and Rory Delap kicking 7 shades of shit out of the Sky Blues.
This little period for me is where we win the league.
You think so? Okay. So what, you think City dropping points and we beat City? And both Jamie and I got them drawing against City. I think that's maybe preservation. I don't know. I think it'd be brilliant to go there and make a statement win. How much? Okay, you're saying we win the league. Okay, Ian. So do you think this is where this is important to winning the title? The result of this game will practically decide the title.
Well, I think so. City go away to Chelsea, and look, we know Chelsea are a box of frogs. They just drew 1-1 at home to Burnley, but I think Man City will have a tough game against Chelsea. Chelsea will be up for it because what's at stake. I think City will drop 2 points there. We're at home to Bournemouth the same weekend. Hopefully that's 3 points for us. And then after that, because they say a week is a long time in football. Sometimes it's not. Now you have your Champions League midweek, but I just have this vision of City coming off, dropping a couple of points, being a bit down from it, a bit of a narrative shift midweek, and then we just rock up to. I'm not saying we just rock up to I was about to say Main Road. Holy shit, up to the Etihad and do that statement. And I felt for a long time, and this doesn't mean we're going to go and do it. I've been listening to everybody, the world and its mother, go on about how City have a game in hand, plus we have to go there, so that's 3 points to Man City. And look, it could be, but I've been saying for a long time, I actually think we're going to go there and beat them. And that's not me just being, we're going to beat them. I think we're a much better side than them. And I think if we don't climb into a shell up there, and remembering Man City everybody's saying Arsenal have to win that game. It's Man City who have to win that game. And I believe that game will play out in a way that will see us being able to manipulate that situation and beat them. And especially after them dropping points the week before, hopefully against Chelsea, I think they'll drop 5 points in those 2 games.
Wow. Yeah, and that could be a big swing. Jamie, are you saying, I mean, it looks like it because everything else there afterwards is pretty similar. This is where the title's won and lost?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's exactly what I've arrived at, right? But I think this is why we get that extra 5-10% advantage over them, is that a draw, in my version, wins us the title, right? And when I think through everything that I've felt probably for quite a while, I think I've pretty much seen this in this way for quite some time, to be honest. At least whenever it's been close between us. I know we've blown it open a bit, and then it's sort of, that margin has seesawed, hasn't it? It's ebbed and waned. But certainly whenever it has been close, I've just kept thinking of this game and thinking, if we can just go there and get a point, I think we'll win it.
Yeah, the last time we went there, we went there and got a point. Not last season before, should have been enough, and then we mess up against Aston Villa, and because we mess up against Aston Villa because our minds are on Bayern Munich, and so on. So this is where all of that comes into play. This is why these are massive games.
We don't have anybody that good though, do we? And that's the main thing. I think when you look back through it, there's plenty of tough games, and it's the same as Ian says. Every game in the Premier League is an arse these days, but like. We only really have, once we got Chelsea out the way, and City have Chelsea, so that's a mirrored game. Yeah, they've got Villa, City. Now, admittedly, Villa have always been shite at their place, unfortunately.
And they've most probably got the Europa League final.
But it is last game of the season. They might have something to play for. I mean, best possible thing you want there is for Villa to need 3 points to guarantee themselves some kind of position in the league, right? To guarantee themselves Champions League in particular would be fantastic. But so yeah, I don't. The main thing is for us, we don't have those games in the run-in, right? We've just got to get past Chelsea, and I've put us down for a point there, but I genuinely think 3 is extraordinarily possible against Chelsea at home. We've been doing it for years now. I was almost being pessimistic with myself and thinking, I've got to pick a couple of places to drop.
Yeah, you got to find a draw somewhere. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I went Brighton. So, look, would you want to play them in the Champions League? I don't want to be playing them 3 times in a week. I'd want to avoid that. I'd rather Real Madrid. I think Real Madrid would be potentially the easier game.
I mean, I used to be very into the SPL, mate, and watching Celtic and Rangers play each other 6 times a season over 2 cup competitions and 4 league games was quite usual, to be honest. We did that actually against somebody that won a few years back, didn't we? We just played one team.
Well, it used to be like that in the past with Liverpool and Chelsea. I think it might have been Chelsea or something like that.
I think it might have been. Yeah, but we played them about 4 or 5 times in the space of a few weeks, and it was fucking infuriating. It was quite. I think. No, do you know what it was? It was whoever we had in the League Cup semi-final at some point.
Newcastle.
It was Newcastle. We had them, and then we had them in. We had the 2 league games both together, didn't we? So it's like 4 times in the space of 3 months or 2 months or something.
Yeah,
and yeah, it's
in a week,
and it's kind of shite.
I mean, I think we could take them, But if you were to say yourself, can you take Man City 3 times in a week? Then
it's
that's
funny,
a
isn't
different
it? It feels
different
like it almost feels like a domino, isn't it? If you win the first one, you're guaranteed to win the rest. So fuck
Yeah.
it, just go and do it. You're not at all guaranteed, but it feels like that, doesn't it? I don't know. It is odd, but this is going to happen, isn't it? So. Yeah.
But we could be playing Sporting. Let's hope the narrative gods are there, and we play Sporting, and Gyökeres scores against his old club, and City have some other team. But we'll see. But that period there is going to be nuts. Go on in.
I have a question. I'm going to make a statement. This is a la the Arsecast. You do this every now and again. I'm going to make a statement, and you tell me whether you agree or disagree. The only way Arsenal won't win the Champions League or get to the final of the Champions League is if we. So the only way we get to it. The only I'm making an arse of this.
Yeah, man, come on.
The only way we won't get to the final of the Champions League is if we meet another English team along the way.
No, because PSG could knock us out just like they did last time.
Real Madrid.
I know. There's good teams like PSG.
I reckon Real are shitter than they were when we played them last.
I reckon this season, as you just said, Jamie, I think Real Madrid are worse than last season, and I think this season we'd get the better of PSG.
Oh, easy, yeah. The only team I fear,
they are very good, but I just don't agree because I think they could beat us. I definitely think they could, and also I think Bayern could beat us as well. I think,
but we wouldn't need Bayern until we got to the final.
Yeah, we can't play them to the final.
Of course, of course. No, that makes
the only team I fear is Liverpool because they've got nothing to play for. They'll get whatever in the league. They're the only team I really fear, and them on a European night at Anfield.
Because there's just a meteoric hump there, isn't there? There's just a meteoric like more so than City. I do fear Liverpool games more than City games, even when Liverpool have been in far worse form.
Yeah,
because there is just this ginormous fucking hump.
Yeah, so that's how I fear more, but we'll see anyway. But yeah, we could easily have Sporting be nice and favourable. I wouldn't want Bodo Glimt just because that artificial pitch. You never know what can happen with that. But anyway, it is what it is. But this is the period because then after that, FA Cup semi-final potentially. But then the problem of the FA Cup semi-final on the 25th after the City game is that then on that weekend we're due to play Newcastle. So then we'd have to find somewhere to play Newcastle. And that means then that would most probably be either before or after the FA Cup final. Should we get there on 16th of May, then it's and at the same time, Man City play Burnley away, so nothing doing there. Then it's the Champions League semi-finals around end of April. We then play
Fulham. How on earth are Newcastle even in it? How on earth Spurs in it? How on earth are Chelsea in it?
Oh well, because Europe, because of the money in the Premier League and European teams are not that great.
But they're shite. Spurs are shite. Newcastle are in a point where finally even their own fans are going, we're probably going to have to shift off Eddie Howe, and it's a bit sad. But
it's a reflection a reflection on teams 3, 4, and 5 in the other leagues. That's what it is. Our whole Premier League is better than most teams 3, 4, and 5 in the other leagues.
It does make you look at it and go, I totally get what you're saying, Ian, in fairness. I mean, I actually think the funny thing is, as Tab says, fear Liverpool, fear City because it's City, right? But those two, the rest of those English teams over 2 legs. The funny things is all of those games are not particularly nice over a leg. 2 legs, piss. Proving you better than those 3 over 2 legs, not a bother at all.
Yeah,
and actually, I fancy us in general as a 2-legged team anyway, don't you guys?
That's why
I think we're not a very good on the night team at times. Yeah. I think we let the pressure get there. We let the weird things happen. Over 2 legs, I sort of fancy us just to beat anybody.
Yeah, the where I was coming from is like I wouldn't fear Chelsea, Newcastle, or Spurs, as you're saying, Jamie, Liverpool and Man City, because what can happen with Liverpool is this magic Anfield atmosphere, and they say weird things happen. You could potentially lose 3-0 at Anfield and be out of the tie. and potentially something like that could happen at City as well if you had a bad night. But in general, like, I agree, over two legs you'd do them. But I definitely think we do Real Madrid and PSG this season over two legs if we were relatively fully fit. I firmly believe the only reason we didn't beat PSG over two legs is because we had 3 or 4 academy kids on the bench, home and away.
Yeah.
I think that was a huge part of it, right? It was the state of the squad at the time, and also Donnarumma, which you go back to that game, and there's so much to look back on to go, Jesus, we were really into that,
And now we have to face him. Now we have to face him this league, and he's already done us at Liverpool as well for saving that shot. Anyway, so look, so there's Champions League semi-finals to potentially consider, and I expect there to be that in and around Newcastle, Fulham, then West Ham away. I've got us drawing away to West Ham. Just funny feeling. Maybe we're helping them relegate Spurs. Don't know when we've won the league by then, so give them a point to help relegate Spurs. Then there's the FA Cup final on Saturday 16th, which then would impact the Burnley game. That'll push to midweek, and then with Palace away, final game of the season on the 24th. I don't think that's that easy, depending where they are, depending how knackered they are, depending where we are. Hopefully,
they always end the season shite though, Palace, don't they?
Yeah, well, let's hope
they
so.
Never
but
hopefully, it well, and they're doing it now without Gay, without the fella that also went off, the other fella, I can't remember his name, without Eze, obviously. They are a Mateta. That's it.
No, he's still there. He just
sorry, not Mateta. Who was the other one that went? Or is Mateta just going at the end of the season to Milan?
Yeah, Mateta's going.
Okay.
Plus, they know that Glasner's going as well. There'll be a weird atmosphere at Palace.
Yeah, they're in a bit of a strange place, aren't they? And maybe, I just think they're in a bit of an odd place. They're not playing particularly well. I don't worry about them at the end of the season. The worst end of season game for me, by a mile, the worst running games for me, the last few games, are always, it's the team that's competing for something, right? And it's relegation, which I don't think Palace are
the only one.
Burnley are too shite to actually.
They'll be gone.
They're going to be down. They're going to be fucking well on the beach by then.
Yeah.
West Ham's the only one that might be, and to a certain extent, I'm supporting West Ham now for the next 4 or 5 weeks, right? Because you want them to absolutely fucking motor up that league and be well clear. And for little Bowen to not be having to rally the troops and stuff, because otherwise that's what I fear West Ham is, that little dickhead just going and Danny Dyer in-law going and popping up at the far post with something at some stage off the back of a Gabriel mishap. It's just written all over it. So I don't know, we'll see. But I look at that running, I genuinely think, but the negative side is that also Villa haven't really got any of those teams apart from if Villa have something, and I'm not confident that Villa will have something.
No, I don't expect anything. Villa, they just roll over and have their tummy tickled when they play Man City.
Yeah.
I mean, for me and Ian, the Palace game is just a celebration. It doesn't matter. You're the one that needs the 3 points. We don't.
Well, we've got the goal difference though, so actually,
we'll see.
A draw can do for me. I mean, I do. I think that's how far ahead are we now on goal difference? Because we
4 ahead.
4. But could you imagine we win by 1 goal difference, and it's the one that they chalked off against Liverpool? That would be the best. There was the VAR ones. And yes, I know you scored, but there was a foul and there was another foul, and we chalked that off. So therefore, it doesn't matter. That'd be funny. But yeah, and in terms of City's run-in, again, Burnley away, fine. Everton away. Brentford at home, Bournemouth away. That's a tricky one. That's where I think I got them drawing, and the City at Villa, I'm not expecting anything from there. I think that point is right. We're not playing anyone with anything really to play for, whereas Everton and Brentford might be trying to get into Europe, even Bournemouth themselves, and like West Ham and Forest. They're
Brentford's
fighting.
A decent shout, actually. Yeah, I mean, maybe we were just playing the long game there. Just setting them up. Just, oi boys, let's not ruin your season yet. There's plenty to play for, right?
Yeah.
Let's give you a handy little point and just send you on your way.
Yeah, a nervous Man City against a Brentford team who are full of confidence. You never know.
Yeah.
Again, it's Brentford away, isn't it? That's the only issue is that I did 2 games.
They beat Villa away. They beat Newcastle away. Those throw-ins, they're just as good away as they're at home. So. Look, it's so nuts. They go and draw with us, then go lose at home to Brighton. But before that, they beat Villa and Newcastle away in one of those games. They were down to 10 men. It just goes to show that it's just the the Premier League is nuts. And so look, all we can see is like there's a lot of games, one after the other, a lot of congestion. We're going to have to rely on some luck, some fitness, you know, but it's in our hands. I think I said this before. It's a 10-game season. We've got a 2-point head start. Away you go. What have you got, Arsenal? And Ian's got us. As I said, I've got us winning 24 out of a possible 30. Ian's got us winning 28, which isn't possible. It is possible, out of 30. And Jamie's got us winning 26 out of 30, with City 25, 24 and 29 out of a possible 33. So I said, we're winning the league. We should be getting at least to the Champions League semi-final.
Jesus, have I put them on 29?
You got them winning 29 points. So they're getting into 85.
But that's out of 33.
I mean, I should feel better about myself anyway, because I don't think they'll get 29 points. I just can't. I can't find where they drop that.
No one's predicting they're going to break 80.
I just can't find where they drop those points. You know what I mean? Like it's either Villa or it's Bournemouth or it's it could even be Everton at Everton.
Yeah.
There is somewhere that they drop some points. I just can't call it out. And that's the funny thing about doing this.
You mentioned that, like, you look at City's 3-game run: Burnley away, Everton away, and Brentford at home. All three of us have predicted them to get City to get 9 points during that little run. Like, will they?
It's those are the games where Kevin De Bruyne used to get them 9, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I don't think they have the Kevin. Because some fantastic players in this team, actually. I think they're a lot better than people give them credit for. But that they haven't got that Kevin De Bruyne, I'm just going to pitch up and score 95th minute winners whenever you need me. Or make it, it was one of those, he starts and he just makes it comfortable and they go 4-0 up at half time, or he doesn't start and he comes on in the 90th minute and he immediately changes the game, whatever. That was the thing they did for ages, and neither of us have those players, actually. Very clearly, neither of us have those players, and that I think is why we will have the drops in points, is that neither of us have those game-winning players in our team. So I think it's the key thing that I keep feeling at the moment about us is actually we grind you, we set ourselves up, we control, we win, but we don't have a game changer still. And it's been a long time now of not having one. And so, City are exactly the same.
So what you're saying is we need to get Raheem Sterling in on loan?
He's a free agent. I think we should.
Kim Kelstrom, mate.
Oh, God.
No, Sterling's not a free agent anymore. Didn't he sign for somebody in the Eredivisie? Was it Eredivisie?
I have no idea. I don't care.
Oh, fucking hell. Wasn't he looking to stay in London?
Oh, no, I'm not interested. I'm not interested. It's most frustrating.
He's gone to finals. He's gone to finals. There we are.
Sake. Right. Anyway, enough. Right. Shut up. Right. The one thing that will either help or hinder City is that if they make it through to the Champions League semi-final. So that's why I don't want to play them, not only because I don't want to play them 3 times running. If, to Jamie's point, we want them playing as many games as possible, then between Burnley, Everton, Brentford, after us, there's a Champions League semi-final. The other thing on the Champions League, we completely forgot about Barcelona, but they're a bit crazy, and who knows what you get with them, but we should also be able to beat them. But anyway, it feels like we're winning a lot. One question about that, the FA Cup. Do you think we just go, I don't care who we're playing, we just go full rotation every time? So basically, we play as if we're playing Wigan, as if we're playing Mansfield. We do not put anyone who is in our, what I call a primary 11 starting. Doesn't matter who we play, a quarterfinal, semi-final, even final.
I don't know. I number one, what I think, I know Mikel Arteta would not do that. Mikel Arteta will put out a team that he thinks, like, he'll go strong, like relatively strong. The good news nowadays is that regardless of who we put out, we're not anymore putting out the Sego Juniors and the kind of the very very young.
I'm saying Rice is on the bench, Zubimendi on it. The 11 that I'm starting.
But I think
against Wigan.
I do know what you mean, but I think, like, if we get, say, City or Liverpool in the quarters, like, he's not. I think he'll play his best team. I just think he will. He won't.
No. But what would you want to do? I wanted to play the second 11. Don't care.
Yeah, well,
especially if we win the EFL Cup. This is the thing. If we win the EFL Cup, if we don't win that, then maybe there's something there. But if we,
I would like to play our not our first or our second, our 1.511, the one in the middle. I wouldn't like to go rest everyone. Our first 11. I think you still have to be competitive, and somewhere. Yeah, I know it's a cop out answer, but somewhere in the middle. I don't agree that we'd rest 11 players essentially.
Okay, Jamie.
I think. Well, I mean, the first thing I think is I just clocked whilst that was all going on that Raheem Sterling's now being managed by Robin van Persie. Just anyway. But aside from that, what I also think, it's just quite interesting, isn't it? Anyway, so what I also do think is that I think in the FA Cup, look, against Mansfield, yeah, I get you. You're playing a whoever you think needs a game to a certain extent, and you stick in usual shit. Saka's on the bench, bring him on at 60 minutes if you're only a goal up, whatever. I think, and especially actually against Mansfield, because my one concern is you don't play anyone who's liable to take a knock, because those boys in those reaches of the Football League, it's not quite what it was 10 years ago, or certainly not 20 years ago, where they are going to knock 7 shades of shite at you, but they're just that much worse that unfortunately that there's that time.
They're just slower, so therefore they inadvertently make bad tackles, bad fouls and stuff like that. Yeah.
It's that thing, it's the unfortunately the incidents just occur in those games. So there is that, but no, I think you probably flex it massively for that game. You have Jesus starting up front, who feels like he has defaulted back to backup / third choice. You bring in some your Miles Lewis Skelly and whoever else you need, but I don't know, in the later rounds, if we're talking quarterfinal and semi, I think I'll go fairly strong, to be honest. I think you have to keep up momentum, and as I've said, really for me it's more of there's like 3 in 3 out of most games now, unless you feel you desperately need that continuity between a couple of games, and you're using the bench a lot, and Arteta's done that this season. These are the sort of things he has done throughout the year. And also players will pick up tiny knocks, and there will be fitness tests, and there will be, and some of those fitness tests and tiny knocks aren't really tiny knocks. They're just, that lad needs to stick himself out for a little bit. And that's just the way it's going to be for the whole year. But I don't think you take your foot off the gas personally. I think you evaluate who we're playing against. And unless you've got, quarterfinals, I don't know even who's left in the competition at this stage, but if you're getting somebody championship, okay, you do a more heavy rotation again. But certainly if you're playing anybody Premier League, I'm expecting us to put our Premier League team.
Okay.
Because I don't want that momentum to stop, and I want us to keep going. And the chat, I think as well, the drive that you would get if you win the League Cup. And we've never done a treble at the Arsenal. We've never had a treble. We've only ever had the double, and we've only ever had that twice, right? So if you've got the opportunity to go and do the first ever treble in the history of Arsenal Football Club, never mind a bloody quadruple, but if you have that opportunity, I think it just would be such a driving factor. I think the motivation to do something, not just in the short term historical, but in the long term, what would at that stage have to go down as Arsenal's greatest ever season by winning a treble, because we have never done it.
Yeah. Plus, if we get past Mansfield, which we should do, we're in the quarterfinals. At that stage, you're only 3 games away from winning. It's only an extra 3 games. It's the same as getting to the semis in the League Cup.
It's more than knock-on effect. So, but it's more than knock-on effect. So if we did get to the semis, okay, and then the final, that means the Newcastle game has to move to midweek in May, and then the Burnley game would have to move to midweek before the Palace game. So suddenly May is looking like May the 9th, and then possibly Newcastle, then the FA Cup semi-final, then Burnley, and then Palace. So between May the 9th and May the 24th, you're playing 5 games.
But
And
realistically,
you need
City will be doing the same, right?
Well, that's
City-
only if they get to the final as well. If they don't, they could be knocked out of the Champions League and they might not be in the FA Cup final.
But,
And
I
so
mean,
that's
the final's almost irrelevant because the final happens after the finals after the old
No.
Right?
The final is we have to play. Well, the final is the day we play Burnley. So then
Yeah.
Burnley would shift to midweek, and then you got Palace afterwards, and you got West Ham. So we would go West Ham, Newcastle, FA Cup final, Burnley, Palace. So again, 5 games in 14 days. 14 days.
But the final becomes like a procession for me. That's that point. We will know if the league's in our hands, and to be honest, I kind of feel like if the league's in our hands after the City game, you just keep going on all fronts.
Yeah.
But like,
I
getting
think
into the
there's
City game in front and getting there and getting the other side still in front. But like, I just mean, it's three extra games for the chance of.
But remember when Liverpool were on for all 4 and then won nothing?
No, they won 2. They won 2 out of 4. They won the 2 cups. They won the FA Cup and the League Cup.
Right. Okay, so yeah. So
They missed out on the 2 big ones.
Yeah, you're right. I think the key things for me, the factors are, one, how we do against City. If we beat City, then fine. Then okay, we can Burnley at home. Okay, let's hope it's not a derby at home. Circa 89, but sort of thing. But so I say, look, who knows? And it also maybe depends on Champions League. So there's a lot of variables. I would happily sacrifice the FA Cup, especially if we win the League Cup, to make sure we get the Premier League and go as far as we can in Champions League. And that's a treble of sorts. It's not it's a very different treble. So
and just to say, Jamie, just in case anybody shouts at their screen, we've won 3 doubles, not 2.
It's what, 71, 98. What's the other one?
And 2002.
Oh shit! Yeah, sorry. I always forget that one in general. That's the year. I always think of Wenger's titles as just 98 and 2004. It's like
everybody forget
2002 just sort of goes a little bit missing, doesn't it? Yeah. All right, sweet.
So on that, actually, how many trophies are we going to end up with, Jamie, end of season? And which ones?
No, because fuck off, mate. The problem is, if I were to do predictions like this with everything in front, I'd fucking put us down for all 4, innit? Because the problem is, I'm going to evaluate. I think we're favourites for every competition we're in, right?
Yeah, but how many people win the... No one's won the quadruple. So why, and this is what I don't understand.
And I don't think we're going to win the quadruple because
but you can't also see where you can't see where we're going to lose.
Too many opportunities for error, right? So it's just I'm too pragmatic to believe that is the likely outcome. But I think we are favourites in every single competition.
Yeah.
I think we are favourites of the Champions League because we did what we did in that group stage, and specifically because we did what we did to Bayern Munich.
Gut feel, we're going to win.
Gut feel 3 at most. Is the way I'm going to go.
Champions League, League Cup, Premier League, and Champions League.
I think it could very well be Premier League, FA Cup, European Cup. Weirdly,
and we'll lose to City.
To be honest, I mean, do you know what? I maybe even feel it's 2. 2, I think, is the most likely outcome. It just feels like the most likely. But I mean, what a fucking place to be.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
It's end of February. We're going to be in March with the chance of winning 4 competitions where you are bookies' favourite in every single one of those competitions. That, I mean, very marginally so in every single one of them as well. But we are bookies' favourite in currently for 4 competitions, one of which we've never won before, and when we have never won a combination of 3 of any of them.
And so which 3 are you going with?
Oh, I mean, obviously it would be if I were to pick 3 out of preference.
No, would you think we're going to win?
Do I think we're going to win?
What do you think we're going to win?
I'm only going to pick 2. I'm going to go league. I'm going to go league title.
Yeah, well, you said that. Yeah,
and I'm just going to say League Cup because just
League
the
Cup.
odds at this stage, it's literally
it's fine.
There's only 2 teams that can win it, right?
Yeah, I'd take it. Ian, bit quicker with your answer, please.
4. No,
you've had a lot of time to think.
Yeah, I my instinct when I read that question was 2. Then of course you're going to ask what 2. I think we'll win the Premier League and I think we'll win the League Cup, just as Jamie said. But I think the most difficult one to win will be the Champions League, of course. But we have a very good chance in that, and we have a very good chance in the FA Cup. But I think
surely it's the European Cup. Surely it's the FA Cup for you, because didn't you say that you don't see anybody non-English? But so like in the European Cup, it's beautiful because we might keep getting teams that aren't English, whereas in the FA Cup, we're all English. Shit, hardest trophy to win in the world.
That's very true. That's
fucking
very
English.
true.
What are we going to do?
I've just been called out.
League Cup, Premier League, and which is the third one? You're just doing two, League Cup and Premier League.
Yeah, but secretly, I just don't want to say it on camera. I think we might win more.
We're both committing to the two competitions where there's only two teams that can win them.
You're committing to 2+1. You're committing to 2+1.
2+1.
What's interesting, I think the Champions League is easier to win than the Premier League at this stage.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. But just because I think Jamie's point about us being a two-legged team, I don't think there's any team out there that could do us over that, because I think away from home we keep it solid, even if we lose 2-1, 1-0, even 2-0. I think we're too good. I think the Champions League, the one thing is the cup, and there's a load of variants, could go to penalties. Shit happens. So cup games, cup competitions are invariably actually harder to win because of the randomness of it. But I think we're actually better placed. Bayern Munich is the fly in the ointment, shall we say? But even then, we could do them.
And we've done it now. That's the thing. We've got some proof in the pudding.
I'm going 2+1 as well. I'm going Premier League. I know I've got a sneaky suspicion it might not happen in the League Cup, so I'm going Premier League and Champions League. I
have a funny feeling about it as well. Something about being faced with that final against City now, where I'm just like, I don't like to commit to it at all.
But we'll see. Whatever it is, we're going to win something, which is brilliant. Let's just hope it's not just the League Cup. There we go. We win.
Tabs, don't say you are the fucking worst for this stuff. I think
jinxes don't exist.
All forms of
these don't exist. We're losing the lot. We're not going to win fuck all. Arteta's going to leave. Saka's going to break his leg.
It's just something about you with it, it just bothers me. Just worry.
There we go. Anyway, we're going all doolally. So there we go. I'm still doolally about Ian's 89 points.
We're drunk on our potential success.
Oh my God, we are. So right. Anyway, before we do any of that, we're going to lose to Chelsea at the weekend, so it's going to go all out the fucking water.
We have to re-record an emergency pod.
Emergency pod. You know those predictions? They're shit. We know fuck all. There we go. Anyway, look, it's back to the fun of the Premier League. We take on that clown car of a asset club known as Chelsea, 4:30 on Sunday late afternoon UK time. Ian, what are you looking forward to, not looking forward to as far as Chelsea at home is concerned?
I'm looking forward to being there. I'm going over. I'm doing a day trip on Sunday, so really excited about that. I'm not looking forward to just having to look at Chelsea. They're just such a disgusting club, and seeing some of their fans around and bleh. But that's me.
Jamie?
Yeah, it's not so pleasant when they drag their shit in on the carpet, is it really? So, it is a bit. So if I am at the game, then I don't know. Otherwise, I am looking forward to a solid 3 points that I haven't predicted on my spreadsheet. I'm looking forward to being wrong. That's what I'm looking forward to.
And not looking forward to being right. I just want us to continue the form we showed against Spurs. Get the run in after a good start, turning over LinkedIn Liam and the rest of those clowns. So just want to do that. Obviously don't want to look forward to us faltering at the first hurdle, and then Caicedo and Leon Delap turning up, taking out those big thugs. Especially Delap, he's such a no-mark footballer, and just injuring one of our players, and their disciplinary record, like they've averaged a red card every 4.5 games in the Premier League. They're closing in on a record, and I think they're top of the ill-disciplined league with 6 red cards and 60 yellow cards. We're bottom with 38 yellow cards and no red cards. It's one of those stats. Is it going to eventually when's our red card coming? When's our stupid thing coming? But let's hope not. So yeah, just don't want them. Just turning up and kicking seven shades of shit out of us because we've got a Premier League, a Champions League, and a League Cup to go and win. So how do you think we're, going to approach this game? And how do you think this is going to pan out? What do you think in terms of our lineup for this game? Is it same again from Tottenham, or do you think we make changes? We Havertz and White, we're not too sure about their fitness. Timber came off early, but that's a mixture of fatigue, yellow card. Odegaard is back. Yeah, same again. What do we do differently, Ian?
I think we'll go same again. Maybe you might see Odegaard start ahead of Eze, maybe, but Eze again, like one of the regrets maybe that Arteta has is that he hasn't, when Eze has done well, he's dropped him, and so maybe he will stick with him. But I think well, hopefully we'll have Havertz back on the bench. Obviously he wouldn't start if he's back. I think that'll be a huge boost. But yeah, overall I think pretty much like 95% what we saw against Spurs.
Jamie, same starting 11, or are you making any changes? Hincapie, Kefuri, Eze, Odegaard, or Eze out to left, Trossard on the bench, Havertz? Yeah, what are you thinking starting 11?
It's 4 weeks rest in it, so you've got a bit of a clean slate. You're probably having a little look at the Brighton and Mansfield games and deciding what you're doing with the squad over those two matches. You're probably saying, look, any of the first teamers that I do want to play against Mansfield on the Saturday, I'm going to rest on the Wednesday, of which that's kind of always interesting, isn't it? The faces that you do keep for those cup games. Obviously, the centre-halves probably play all three matches because that's just the usual stuff. Maybe you bring in you'll probably bring in Mosquera for Mansfield. So I'm more sort of looking at those positions and thinking, who do we not have somebody that's kind of emerging or somebody in the backups that we trust against Mansfield? And I think, Norgard will turn out for that. So you're probably going to have Zubimendi play both games. I think you're going to have probably one of the other midfielders is difficult to drop at this stage for any of the Premier League games because obviously Marino's injury has had a big effect in that respect. Might see an MLS in midfield against Mansfield. So maybe you get the chance to take out somebody else if you're putting MLS there. But then you might need MLS at left back. So it's kind of hard to predict. I would expect pretty much the same side, I think, maybe with Odegaard coming in. Or maybe you wait for Odegaard till Brighton. I think that seems to make more sense to me. You play him against Brighton, you keep Eze for both this one and the Mansfield game.
Yeah, I think you said there we've had a full week off. I mean, Wolves and Spurs, I think we expended a lot of energy physically and emotionally. And so hopefully we've had time to rest, recuperate, dialing it down, having that one week off, no midweek football for the first time in ages. And, it's as we've just said, we're going to be having midweek football from here on in.
It might be the intended team that should have played against Wigan, to be honest, actually, that goes to Mansfield. And therefore, the team that goes in, as I say, against Brighton drops any of those lads out. And therefore, I think the Chelsea team, does remain unchanged because, that has got those key guys that came in. So, I think that's probably why I'm looking at it.
I think we keep that momentum. Again, Chelsea will not be as open as Spurs. So maybe Eze doesn't find the same space. Maybe Gyökeres doesn't find the same space. But I think you've got to keep that momentum. I think Arteta said, and I think this was a really important thing that he said after a quote, you could see that Eze wanted to prove something. He was upset even with me because I didn't play him the other day, talking about the Wolves game from the beginning. And some of the decisions that I made, I've started to understand how we're going to get the best out of him, which is really pleasing to see. I mean, better late than never. But I think you can't have that performance from Gyökeres and Eze and then not play them in the next game, even if it is Chelsea. We are at home. The only thing is, if you put him out left and then put Odegaard in the middle, that's the only time. But you've got to play him, otherwise, what the hell's going on? And he's just going to be like, this is man management territory, as well as the team. And I think the one good thing about this game, and a bit like the Tottenham game, it's big enough in its own right that we can treat it as a one-off entity sort of thing. It's a big game. It's against Chelsea. I think against Wolves, even Brentford, we may be thinking bigger picture, what it means for and when, even though they say one game at a time, you just cannot help yourself. Oh, this is Wolves, bottom of the league. We win this, we move on, and then you get sucked into that mentality and it's hard to get out of it, And so whereas Tottenham in its own right, we had to bounce back from Wolves. It's a massive North London derby, so screw the league. We just need to win this because it's North London derby, and I think Chelsea has elements of that there. So I think that will help us focus the mind a bit and not get too carried away with the running. They're not going to be doing predictions like we just have. So unfortunately Chelsea, well, hopefully they will be as bad as Tottenham, but I doubt it. But we're at home. We've got a good record.
I wonder, by the way, actually, do you think maybe, and the more that I think about it, maybe you actually go Odegaard for Chelsea for his defensive qualities, and you go, I do, that's the one thing. Chelsea got a lot more going forward than Tottenham have, right? Eza did not have to worry, Tottenham were quite content to, not bother at times, and then going forward, Chelsea have got a lot more in the midfield, specifically, a lot more creative, and I wonder if you want somebody to track and harry and press in Odegaard.
But isn't this the trap we've fallen into? Let them worry about us. Okay, fine. Why don't you trust Zubimendi, trust Rice, trust our back four to do their job, keep everyone out, and make sure that Gyökeres is someone to partner with. Like, you got the 9-10 there, and Trossard and Saka are there. Let them worry about us. We've got enough behind Eza to look after it. Otherwise, it's what you lose going forward by protect going backwards, and then maybe and this is it. And then we did have a question again from Dubs for Sam, Ian's mate. Serious question. He says Arteta was eager to have this week and to get back to our core principles that we have been able to maintain due to a lack of training. Which of the early season non-negotiables would you like us to have worked on for the final run-in and maybe for the Chelsea game? Ian, is there anything that we were doing at the beginning of the season that we sort of forgotten to do that you want to see us get back to?
Yeah, defend. Yeah. Well, core principles, like all joking aside, I say defend there. Like at the start of the season, I don't know what we were doing. I don't know if it was just down to, well, I know the last few games we've just made a lot of individual mistakes, but maybe just getting back to basics is too basic to say. But I think as the season has grown, our games have become a bit more chaotic. Not chaotic, but like we used to just lock teams out and we'd go up and score a goal, and it was just like opposition teams and fans knew that they weren't going to get a goal. But now, God, like I was listening to a pod and they were saying that of the 8 goals we've conceded in 2026, 4 of them have been a mistake and 3 have been like worldies from distance. And I just love us to cut that stuff out. We were doing that so well earlier on in the season. David Raya has, is it 11 or 13 clean sheets, I can't remember, but it feels as though he hasn't had one in a long time. A lot of those came early on in the season, or in the first half. And
Sunderland at home, I think, would have been the last one. Well, even Sunderland at home, 3-0.
So I just like us to bring that back from early on in the season.
Jamie?
So I think probably for a start, I'm immediately just thinking of Calafiori. If I just think about the start of the season and something that feels missing at the moment, for some reason I just immediately think of a striding Italian stallion.
You mean Tabs?
Yeah, I'm sitting down at the moment
with long flowing locks.
Oh, yeah,
Damn, you got me there.
But yeah, I just think of him. So something about him, and the Piero Hincapie's come in and done pretty well and been a good player for the side, and I think he's performed really well actually. And I think if we make that permanent, I'm happy as Larry. But for whatever reason, I know it's not really like one of the non-negotiables.
No,
or
but it's
something tactically. But I just, as soon as that question came out, I just thought Riccardo Calafiori doing what he does, turning up in penalty boxes, playing 90 minutes, because obviously his appearances have dropped off with injury, and also those that he's had have been shorter. And I just, for whatever reason, I sort of just tie in that way that we were playing at one given time with that surging Calafiori run. And so I would absolutely love to see that from the start of the season return. In terms of the non-negotiables, fuck knows. I don't know which one it is that we might be failing at. I don't know what we're not doing right in that respect. Maybe there probably is something, but I think some of that might be quite hard when you're just playing so relentlessly in the way that we are, and it's so sapping as it is.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, Ian, just stop doing dumb stuff. There you go. That's non-negotiable. Doing dumb stuff is not a negotiating position, so stop it. And then, we'll win all those trophies that we said. Look, we come to Chelsea. They're a mixed bag. You know, they sit in fifth. You know, won 12, drew 9, lost 6, plus 17 goal difference, won 45 points. And look, they seem to be a bit streaky team. So if you look at their last 10, like, you know, they drew at home to Burnley. Okay, they were down to 10 men. And then they drew, and they were winning that game. They drew against Leeds, and they were winning that game. Then they had a run of 4 games before that, where they beat Wolves, beat West Ham, beat Palace, beat Brentford. So, okay, you know, we didn't do much against Wolves and Brentford either. But again, not the toughest of runs. And then, like, they lost at Fulham, drew with City, drew with Bournemouth, lost at home to Villa. So, you know, a mixed bag. You know, this season we've done all right against them. We drew 1-1 at their place when they were down to 10 men. We beat them 3-2 in the semi when it should have been 4-1, and then we beat them 1-0. However, on 3 occasions, they seem to have come away with moral victories, which is ironic given how much of a scummy club they are. But somehow they come out with their head held high. You know, we always joke about, they beat us 1-1 and they beat us, you know, even though they lost type stuff. So they have got dangerous players, you know, through the middle, out wide. You know, so they can cause damage. So we do need to be mindful of that. But you know, I guess in the middle, they can't really defend for Toffee. They're a bit lumpy in the middle, and we just got to worry about Pedro Neto. But then again, he can be inconsistent. So we'll have to see. And in terms of injury suspension, so Fofana's suspended. I believe Cucurella is out for a hamstring, which is good. No, good because he always seems to, when he's not booked, he does do a number on Saka. As soon as he gets booked, then he's screwed. And he seems to,
he's one of the best left backs in the world, isn't he? Superb.
Yeah, but not on a yellow card. And I think we saw in a game recently, as soon as he was booked, then Saka or whoever had his number. So I think he's out. Levi Colwell's out. Gittins is a bit doubtful. Esteval may be out. So they're not fully fit. Cole Palmer most probably pull out last minute because he always shirks the Emirates. So we'll see. So we've got a good record against them. I think we last lost back in 2021 when Pablo Mari was tormented by Romelu Lukaku. We lost 2-0 at home, but since then played 11, won 8, drawn 3, and at home we've won 5 in a row. So as much as we hate them, we do pretty well against them. What are we predicting, Jamie?
I mean, obviously, I gave us a point in this spreadsheet, so I'm going to have to go against that and say 2-1.
The hypocrisy is not.
Again, I was finding places to stick draws in. You know what I mean?
I know. Look, don't worry. Every prediction, we're winning every game. So
and I haven't predicted a single draw all fucking season on this podcast. It sort of feels like you're not allowed to.
No, you can. You can do whatever you like.
Can you imagine if we did this podcast when we were shit? Like it would have been, and we were doing this prediction at the end of the time, and I'm like, no, I absolutely reckon we're getting owned here. Like,
we're getting absolutely spanked.
Can you imagine doing this podcast if you're Tottenham? Imagine they followed the same. What are you looking forward to? Death.
Going
a warm, loving embrace of death at some point.
Yeah. Thankfully, we don't have to do that. So there we go. And if we do get as bad as Tottenham, I'm packing away the mic. There we go. Right, Ian. And some people are saying, can you just pack it away now, please? But, Ian.
I'm going to go 2-0. 2-0 Arsenal.
2-0. Yeah, that's what I wrote mine down beforehand. I said 2-0. We should be too good for them. It's a horrible game, horrible club. Going to hate every minute of it until we the final whistle. So anyway, cool. Thank you for that. thank you for that. We're winning. Well, no, we're not winning the lot. No one's predicted that, but we're winning a 2+1 this season. So good. Pleased to see. Thanks for your insights and inputs and all the rest of it. So appreciate that. Ian, where can people find you and what do you get up to?
Yeah, you can find me on all the socials at Art Cannon Picks. Send me in your lovely cannons. I'm only 2 cannons away from a big milestone of 800, so I'm trucking away towards 1,000. So yeah, that's where you'll find me.
Very good, very good. I won't bother asking you where we'll find you, Jamie, but thank you for coming along. And
on the bottom of a ditch.
Bottom of the ditch thinking, am I a Tottenham fan? Right, you can follow us on Threads, Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever, at the Grove AFC and all the podcast apps, and give us a like, subscribe, follow, comment. Appreciate it. And as I said, we're 6 away from a bit of a landmark on Spotify followers. So
I can't believe we're almost at 100,000 subgubscribers on Spotify.
It's ridiculous, and I know each one of you by name. And and look, we're going to have a show hopefully Monday post Chelsea, pre Brighton. So keep an eye out for that. It's all going to be thick and fast from now with League and Cup and Champions League. Yeah, it's going to be 2 a week. So strap in. And if you made it this far, thank you. Thank you for listening. The season proper starts now. As I said, strap in, people. It's going to be a ride. And until the next time, come on, you Gunners.